Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our show today. This is your show, Who Are You? With your host, Dr. Leah Anita Reddick. And today I am bringing you our new hosts from all the way from Canada. Canada, Canada. And unfortunately, the other name is too long. Is called, let me just read it, Saskatchewan. Exactly, Saskatchewan. Oh, I'm good. So welcome, welcome once again. And I hope that you will enjoy our today's guest is from Canada, and she is a wonderful, powerful woman. She's a mind secret knowledge broker and a keynote speaker. She is a woman who has transformed from depression into her purpose. She's a woman who is helping other people who have gone through or are going through the same situation, that they can be able to transform into their purpose that they have been called into. So as I will be bringing her into the show, I hope that you are all well prepared, that you can be able to take notes, you can be able to see and to understand and to get everything that you need to walk into your purpose today, regardless of where you are at, because even in the depression, you can conquer the circumstances and you can come out flying. So we are going to welcome our guest today, Tamela Appel. Hello.
Hi. It's so
Hello.
great to be here with you today. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. Thank you so much. I know it's so early in Canada and it's a little bit late evening in Germany, and technology has enabled us to join hands together and to be able to network together, to be able to bring this great discussion. And yet it can be very challenging discussion, but I'm very happy to host you today, that we will be able to get a lot of information, a lot of nuggets for our dear fellow sisters and brothers who are struggling in depression, that they will be able to know that there is still hope and there is still ways and support and help that they can get to come out of depression and achieve their higher purpose, just like you have done. So welcome again, Tamela, into our show, Who Are You? With your host, Dr. Leah Anita Reddick. And please introduce yourself for the people who are just joining in, or those who have not yet caught who you are, so that they can know who is Tamela Apple.
Okay. Well, I really like that you said that there is hope. And I know that there's hope. There's always
Yeah.
hope because we sometimes are shrouded in fear, and
Mm,
fear is real, but so is hope. And
exactly.
really want to go back to when I first discovered that I did have some depression and anxiety in my life. And it actually started when I was in university.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long journey for me. And so I was probably about 23 years old, and I was in my last year of summer school, and I
Mm-hmm.
had one more semester to take of school, and I had overloaded classes my whole university time so that I could get done a little quicker, and
Mm-hmm.
and I was overloading, and I was ready to write my last final exam. And my boyfriend had bought me a bike so that I could use it around campus and be able to get the places I needed to in the small city that I was in. And
Mm-hmm.
and I went to bed that night knowing my brain was so full of information, that I was ready for the exam the next day. And when I woke up in the morning, my very first thought was, "Oh my goodness, did I bring my bike in last night? Or did
Mm-hmm.
I leave it outside?" And I went running outside, and there on the ground was my bike lock. I had forgotten my bike outside, and somebody cut the lock and stole it.
Oh, shame.
Yes, and I was in such a state of shock and upset, and I was so hurt that
Mm,
somebody would have done that. And normally that sounds like a small little thing, but piled on top of all of the stuff that was happening at university and all that my brain was trying to process, I just
Mm,
I just went into such an anxious state that I couldn't go in and write my final exam. I
mm,
called my professor and I said to her, I'm so sorry. I can't do this. I told her what had happened. I was in tears
mm,
and I explained to her that, if I could write it in the fall, I would do that, or I would just retake the class because I just knew that mentally I couldn't do it.
mm,
And gratefully, she said to me, your mark is in the 90s in this course. You don't have to worry about it. Just go home and take care of yourself. So I did. I
mm.
got in my car and I drove the 3 hours home, and I went to the doctor, and that was my first bout with depression or anxiety, and the first set
Wow.
of medications that I started. So that was, and he put me on Prozac right away. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks later that I said, you know what, I'm fine. I don't need this. I don't need medication. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a year later, I got married and things were going well. And we tried to have a baby, and
Mm.
I had a miscarriage. And, that puts a woman's body into real huge
Yes,
hormonal
yes,
upheaval.
yes.
And but we really, really wanted to have kids, so we started trying right away again, and not realizing that your body really needs time to recover even after you've had a miscarriage. Your body and your mind
Mm,
need
mm,
time to
mm,
recover, right? But
mm,
I did get pregnant again very quickly, and so we had our son, um, like 9 months later, and so
wow.
it was a blessing. Like he was
Yes, yes.
just it was such a wonderful joy to have in my life. and
Mm,
and then we tried to get pregnant again, and we struggled for a little bit, and then we had two more miscarriages, and we were trying and trying and trying, and the two more miscarriages were again just emotional and hormonal
mm,
upheaval. And then we got pregnant again with my daughter, and again an amazing blessing.
mm,
But through this, I was on and off medication, and every time we would really start trying to get pregnant again, I would go off of medication. And so that was kind of putting my body into, and my mind
mm.
into, some
Yes,
more upheaval.
yes.
Uh, yeah. And then shortly after my daughter was born, I want to say within 2 years after my daughter was born,
Mm,
went on to medication again because
mm,
I knew that I was struggling and really was having a hard time figuring out what to do with myself, and having a hard time even enjoying
mm,
life and enjoying my children, which I knew that I needed to find a way to do. And so the medication
mm, mm.
was helping me to be able to do that. So I was on and off of medication for about 11 years. And in that
Wow.
time, yeah, and in that time, actually, I was probably on it for 11 years, just
Mm-hmm,
fluctuating the dosage, because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I would feel like, okay, I'm getting really good, I can do this. And I would go to my doctor and say, can we lower the dose? And so we would,
mm,
and then I'd have some anxiety, and then I'd go back and say, oh gosh, this isn't working, I need more. And
mm,
so,
mm,
it was just fluctuating. And then there came a point in time where, I just didn't even know what to do with myself.
mm,
My kids they were being taken care of course. I'm feeding them, and some days it's hard to get up and do the things you need to do, but I was doing
mm.
them, but just kind of going through the motions in life.
Yes.
Yes, there were so many times that, I was absolutely enjoying my kids and taking them to their sports and that
Mm.
kind of thing, but there were a lot of times where I struggled to really enjoy
Wow.
that. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and so then when I'm struggling and don't know what to do with myself, of course,
Mm,
my marriage is not going well because my partner doesn't know what to do for me.
mm,
He's
mm,
trying and he doesn't know how to help me. And
mm,
so
mm.
we ended up going through a divorce. And so that happened about 6 years ago. And after that point, I hit a wall, and I just thought to myself, there I have to show up. I have to show up
Mm,
for myself. I've read all the books. I've read
mm,
Tony Robbins and been to his Unleashing the Power Within workshop. I've been to Dr. Joe Dispenza's workshop. I've been to Oprah. I've been to Deepak Chopra. I've read all of the books. I've read, gosh, I can't even imagine the number of authors, and I've got books on my bookshelf that I read them all, Eckhart
mm,
Tolle,
mm,
Vishen Lakhiani, so many. And it was it was all up here. I had all the information,
mm,
but I wasn't showing up. I would use it for a short period of time and then I'd forget about it. And so one day I
mm,
just said to myself, like, enough is enough. You got to show up. Show up for yourself, show
mm,
up for your kids,
mm,
show
mm.
up for the people that love you, if not just for yourself.
Exactly, exactly.
So I showed up. I showed up for myself first. And what I did was I was at the point where makeup meant nothing, doing my hair meant
Mm,
nothing, nice clothes meant nothing. It was just all nothing was important. So I went into my bathroom and I grabbed my lipstick out of the drawer and I wrote on my mirror with that lipstick, I wrote, I am enough.
amen. Wonderful.
Yes, right? But I didn't believe it, and I looked at that and I started crying. I was crying so hard. It wasn't like just a little, some tears going down my face. I was ugly crying. Like it looked like it was awful. And I felt very badly about what that mirror said because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it
Mm,
for a second.
mm,
But I made myself say it. I looked in the mirror and I said, I am enough through those tears. I
mm,
made myself do that every single day. I would get up and I would go into the bathroom and I would say, I'm enough. And after a couple of weeks, I started being enough for parts of the day. So for, maybe even if it was only for an hour, even if it was just to get
mm,
through breakfast, I know I'm
mm,
enough that I can get through this.
mm,
And
mm,
then I started to actually, about 3 weeks in, I started to actually look at that mirror and believe it, and I could do it without tears. And then
wow.
yeah, I mean, and it did take that amount of time, but it
Mm,
actually worked. And then I started to actually feel that. And then I started to really embrace that. And I
mhm,
started to
mhm.
add sticky notes to my mirror because I needed to erase the
Yeah.
lipstick off and put
Yes,
sticky notes around so that I could actually see through the
yes,
mirror.
yes.
And so I would write things like, I am whole. I am
Wow.
perfect. I am powerful. I am
Awesome.
strong. I'm loving. I am loved. I am important. And I would add things all of the time. And I still do. If I'm having a rough day, I will go
Mhm,
because that's in my basement bathroom and I usually use my upstairs one, but in my basement bathroom if I'm having a rough day, I go down there and I look at that mirror and I remind myself every
mm,
day how important I am and
mm,
and how much I need to remind myself every day that you know what
mm.
I am enough and I'm more than enough and
Yes.
I'm more than enough for every single situation that I walk into and I always will be and that
Mm.
if somebody doesn't like me, because of course there are going to be people along the way who
Yes,
disagree, right?
yes,
And if
yes,
somebody
yes, yes.
doesn't like me or doesn't feel like they want to be a part of what I'm doing, that's
Mm.
okay. That's
Oh, yes.
their journey.
Mm,
It's not mine. And so, that's one of the things that helped me through it. And while I was
mm,
doing that, then
mm,
I would also make sure that before I got out of bed, before my feet hit that floor every single morning, and I do this
mm,
always,
mm.
I am grateful for at least
Awesome.
5 things. I
Wonderful.
list them in my head, and, it
Mm.
could be things such as, I am grateful for the sun shining through my window. I'm grateful for
Wow.
my children. I'm grateful for the beds that I sleep in. I'm grateful for the warm blankets and the roof over my head and the
Mm,
the
mm.
breeze that's blowing, just
Yes.
anything and everything. Because the more that you can find to be grateful for, the more things to be grateful for that will come into your life.
Awesome, awesome. And I really like a lot of you've tackled a lot of things within just that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And let me just this you have a lot of viewers who are watching. We have Charity Jacobs, welcome. We have Nana, we have Ida, we have Janelle Harris saying you are beautiful.
Oh,
We have you have a lot of people who are cheering you up. And
oh, thank you.
you say that you started feeling anxiety and you came into depression when you're 23. 23 is such a young age. And then
Yes.
you are have you here you are, you're trying to build a family as well. You just going through your university, and then you decide you want to build family. You're still in that place of anxiety and depression. And so and you're going through a lot. Miscarriage, like you said, it's not something that is very easy for any woman.
Right.
From it is something that you'd never wish for any woman, even your own worst enemy, because it
Absolutely.
is such a painful thing. It is a life that you're losing, but you did not still give up even in that moment. And the minute, from just listening to how you are explaining, for me, the minute you decided that I need to show up,
Hmm.
because you realized you are not showing up. You were kind of like back and forth, bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth. But you decided that I need to show up. And then you chose a place. When you kept on saying you go back to your bathroom and your
Hmm.
basement, you chose a place where you go to remember the place where you picked yourself up from
Yes.
you know
Yes.
and when you say that you wrote those words, I am enough, even though at that particular moment you didn't believe it, but you began to speak it.
Yes.
You began.
That's that's the
e-
important piece is speaking it and
exactly,
looking at yourself when you're doing it. That's
exactly.
huge. It's so valuable.
Exactly, because you're verbalizing what you want to see. You're verbalizing what you're already beginning to see. And it will not come from one day to another, but the more you make it a habit, the more you hear it ringing in your mind. And you said it was all in your mind. And so you're ringing that bell every second in your mind, and it is going deep down you, and it is confirming to you such beautiful, beautiful place to begin, and just looking at every day affirming, even if it is going to affirm you for, from your bathroom to the breakfast table. When you feel the anxiety, you begin again to
Yes.
affirm yourself, you're enough, you're beautiful, you can make it, you're coming through. It gives you strength to move
Yes.
on. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yes.
And so what was your second why that made you realize that I need to show up? Regardless, I
Mhm.
need to begin to show up. It's not just about me, but I need begin to show up.
Right. It was, the next biggest thing was about my kids. You know, I want my children to see a strong woman. I want my
Mm,
children to know that being independent and having the strength to pick yourself up even when you're
mm,
struggling and to
mm,
move yourself forward and even taking that one little step. I want them to know how taking one little step is so important because if you're not moving, then you're going backwards. If you're
mm,
not
mm.
moving, you are falling. I want to
Yes.
fall forward. I want to move forward and I want them to know. I want them to see a confident woman. I want them to see that strength comes even when you have anxiety and depression, and my
Mm,
children both know of my history. They both know
mhm,
that I have had this and lived through depression and anxiety, and they both know that, you know, you can be a strong person and you can pick yourself up and you can still have tough days, and that's
mm,
okay
mm,
as
mhm.
long as you don't stay there, as long as you don't stay stuck, as
Yes.
long as you pick yourself up and keep going. But absolutely,
Mm,
my children were really huge in this. I needed to show up for myself first and then
mm,
my
mm.
children Because
Oh yes. Oh yes.
yeah, the last thing that I want them to think is that, living life on the couch, because
Yes.
that's where I sometimes couldn't get off of. I want them to
Mm,
know
mm,
that that's not necessary, that you
mm.
can move forward. And
Yes. Yes.
when they see that strength in their mother, then I
Mm.
think that it helps them to know how to be strong too. It helps them to
Yes.
see some of the techniques and tools that you can use to move
Mm.
yourself forward. So
Mm. Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're going to make a short break. And when we are coming back, we are going to get those techniques and strategies that Tamela used to help herself to come out from her depression into her higher purpose, to be where she is right now. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Just sip your tea, sip your coffee, sip your water, and we will be back in 1 minute.
Your heart is tarnished black and blue. Betrayal is a feeling, not a word anymore. And you won't fall in love again. You've opened up too many times to be let down once more. And you say, I'll build a wall around myself.
Hello, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are here with our guest today, Tamela Appel, all the way from Saskatchewan, Canada. I'm proud of myself because the
yeah,
word
great.
is
Yes, that is fantastic. You did really good.
And
Uh,
before we went for break, I'll just do a recap of how you spoke about how you went into depression, anxiety, the struggles you went through, your miscarriages, and being up back and forth with your medication, with the situations that were going through, and how you realized that there was something that you are not doing, and you've told us how many, you've read books, you've listened to a lot of gurus who are mindset people. They are
yeah.
gurus. They've walked so many people through a lot, yet still you are not coming out until there was that a wake up thing in your mind that you decided, I have to show up. And you went into your bathroom, your basement bathroom, and you chose that place, and you began to rise up from there with great affirmations, with great powerful words for yourself, understanding that you have to show up for yourself first, then for your children. What a beautiful statement. So, Tamela, tell us a little bit about when you began the journey of, saying, I have to show up.
Mhm.
And definitely there was, first, I will just take us back to, the time when you fell into depression. What was the one thing that kind of hit you from the normal days of your life and into depression?
Mhm. I actually didn't realize that I was in depression. I didn't
Mm-hmm,
realize that I was in that state, and I think that
mm-hmm,
happens often, is that
mm-hmm,
you just slowly forget what you enjoyed in life. You no longer enjoy those things. The
mm-hmm,
day-to-day stuff was just difficult. It was
mm-hmm,
sometimes hard to get up out of bed. Like it was just, and not knowing why, not
mm-hmm,
understanding like
mm-hmm,
what's going on. I don't feel well. I just don't feel well. I don't feel well mentally. I don't feel well emotionally. I don't feel well then physically as well, because when
mm-hmm,
your mind is telling you that you're not well, then
mm-hmm.
physically you start to feel that as well, right? And
Exactly,
so
exactly.
that was what was happening for me. And then just going back to the whole I showed up for myself first, I wanted
Mm-hmm,
to just mention that some people think, and I've heard some people, because some people have said to me, well, don't you think that's kind of selfish? Don't you think you should have showed up for your kids first? And I say to them, when you're on an airplane, remember you have to put your own oxygen mask on first, because if you don't, you can't help anybody around you. So you have to show up for yourself
Exactly.
first. Yeah.
And that's great. That is great because, many people think that you have first to do things for the other people before yourself. And we forget we can never give what we don't have,
That's right.
because we have to receive it first for
Mhm.
ourselves. We have to feel it first. How does it feel to receive that thing, to receive that gift? Then I can also be able to pass it on, because then I know the effect of what I have received and the impact it will make to the person who is also in the same struggles or in the same path and need that support. And then you will see it growing fruits in them, because I can't begin to tell somebody that I know you will be well when I don't even know how they feel, because I don't
Right.
have that experience. And I'm so glad that we are having, we are in a generation where we can talk about these things freely and be able to
Mhm.
help people understand it is real. Depression, anxiety, it is real,
Yes.
but there is hope. It is
Yes.
not the end of the world. There is hope for people who are in depression and who are in anxiety, that they can come out of that place, because it's not their place, it's not their calling, it's not their purpose. They have a higher purpose, they have a higher calling. So, what strategies? I know you've already given us two tools that you use yourself. First, showing up. Two, using affirmation words. What other tools or strategies would you advise people who are going through the anxiety and depression? There's some who are seeing like it will never work for me, but
Right.
there's so many books, there's so many there's so many meditations, there's so many things people are doing out there, and
Mhm.
like you, most of them don't work for them. It didn't work for you, but then you found something that worked for you.
Yes. Right. And part of it is the affirmations, like positive affirmations, but feeling those affirmations, making sure that they're ones that are important to you so that you actually feel them. The gratitude piece,
Mm,
that is so important. I meditate every morning and every night, and sometimes I will meditate just without music, but lots of times I will use an app called Insight Timer that I find is amazing, because there are guided meditations on there, and there are short meditations that are minutes long to ones that
mhm,
are over an hour long. And
mhm,
I find that they help me to start my day in a positive way, and also
mhm,
that they help me to go to sleep at night. So the meditations are really good. For me, I also use sound as support. So I have sound bowls and I have tuning forks and things like that. And so, but even just finding some sounds or songs that you might relate to a time when you
mhm,
had positive memories, right? Those
mhm,
kinds of
mhm, mhm,
things. Um, Take time to sit and read. Take time to spend with friends. Take time to go for
mhm,
coffee.
mhm,
Exercise is huge. Being
mhm,
out in
mhm,
nature is amazing.
mhm.
Being out in nature, and
Awesome.
there's a technique that I use when I am in a state of anxiety, and it's a five senses technique where I take a deep breath in through my nose and out through my mouth, and
Mhm,
I look around. I look for five things that I can see, and I literally name them. So there's a tree, there's a car, there's grass. And so I name them. Then I list four things I can hear, three things that I can smell, two things that I can touch, one thing that I can
mhm, mhm.
taste. And so that
Oh.
brings my awareness back to the now. Because when you're in
Mhm, mhm.
anxiety, your awareness is in the future.
Yes.
So, and when you're in depression, it's in the past. So, what you
Mhm,
want to do if you're in either is find ways to bring yourself into the now so that you can focus on what's happening at this moment.
mhm,
Because if you
mhm,
can focus on the now and what's happening at this moment, even sitting and feeling your feet on the floor, I will ground every single day. I will, when I wake up in the morning after I've done my gratitude and my meditation, I will make sure that I ground myself. So I will picture a light that's above me about 300 feet up. I will
Mm-hmm.
picture the earth below me, and I will bring that light down through the top of my head, all the way through my body, so that that light fills all the darkness that's in my body. It goes
Mm-hmm.
out through the bottoms of my feet into Mother Earth, and combines with a nice um, jelly like pink substance, and then comes back up through my body to my
Mm-hmm.
heart. And I can feel the love, and then I expand that love out from my heart through the
Mm-hmm.
world and through the universe, so that I'm feeling the love and I'm spreading love to others, and then bringing that love
Awesome.
back to me. And so
Awesome.
the grounding is really important for me too. Another way that to do grounding is just to go and hug a tree. And I have a tree in my backyard that I
Mm-hmm.
hug on a regular basis so that I'm grounding. You know, so all of those little
Awesome.
techniques are things that I use on a regular basis to help me.
Awesome.
And I just want to remind everybody too that, you know, you wouldn't go and exercise physically for 3 days and then expect your
Mm-hmm.
body to remain physically healthy and well for the next
Mm-hmm.
5 years. So
Mm-hmm.
don't do that to your mind. Your mind
Awesome.
needs to be exercised. It's a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You need to exercise it. You need to practice things every day to support your positive mindset. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And I like what you've just said. You need to exercise your mind every day because, the battle is in our minds. And
Mhm.
everything is in the mind that we battle with. And that's why they say the battle is in the mind. And I remember there is a great book as well that Joyce Meyer has written about the battle in the mind. And it helps people to understand the how you have all those voices. And the way you've just said, you also use voices, like you put down the voices that you hear,
Mhm.
and it's like you are bringing back, you're connecting back to the real things, to the things that mean a lot. Gratitude, being grateful for every single thing, small or big, because sometimes people expect to be grateful when big things are happening. Yet we are supposed to be grateful, even just that, the fact we can look outside and we can see, oh, the sun is shining, or okay, it's raining, it's not that beautiful or anything, but it's still raining and I can feel it is raining. I can smell the rain. I can breathe in and out. And that is very,
Yes.
very important in our life because, like you said, anxiety is in the future, and depression is in the past. And when we are anxious about tomorrow, yet we have no control about tomorrow, we don't know what is coming tomorrow. The past is gone and we cannot change the past, but we can change the now that we are in. And
Yeah.
so, beautiful nuggets that you have dropped there for people, and I hope many people are getting it, even those who will be watching the replay, that this will be a helpful tool for a lot of people to understand how to
Mhm.
come from those dark places into their purpose. As we are just going on, I would like to know, who is your favorite author? And I know you've read a lot of books because, again, you are a coach as well as a speaker, a keynote speaker. So, who is your favorite author?
My favorite author for just casual reading is Mitch Albom, because he's
Mhm,
written some amazing books like The Five People You Meet in Heaven, The Next Person That You Meet. Very wonderful books like that.
mhm,
I truly enjoy Tony Robbins, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Rhonda Byrne, James Van Prague. I love
mhm,
angels and angel readings, and in my practice, I use that kind of thing. Um, I love Neil Pasricha, which is a Canadian author, and he wrote the book called
mm.
You Are Awesome. Um, yeah, there are so many. Eckhart Tolle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. We will make another short break. And then when we come back, we will just be wrapping up with two or three other questions. And then we will get to know how people can get to contact with you, how they can get help and understand how they can walk this. So please don't leave your places. Just stay tuned. We will be back in 1 minute. So welcome back, welcome back. Our guest today is Tamela Appel from all the way Saskatchewan, Canada. I'm loving just saying this word 3, 4 times.
It's awesome.
Yes, it's awesome. It's awesome. And people are just enjoying the talk, the discussion, and gratitude. Practicing gratitude is cheered up. Like because this is something that so many people don't do. Lily says, Tony Robbins, the book. Yes,
Yeah.
it's been read by a lot of people. David Otieno says, awesome. Very enjoying the discussion. So as we still continue, I have a question. Assuming that heaven exists, I know it exists because I'm a believer, but let's just assume even for just a few minutes that it is existing. What would you like God to say to you when you reach the pearly gates?
I would really like him to tell me that he appreciates that I supported my fellow humans because
Wonderful.
I really feel like, the reason that I went through the depression and anxiety, I truly feel that the universe gave that gift to me so that I could support
Mm,
other people. I don't feel that it
mm,
was for naught. I feel like all of the struggles that I went through was
mm.
part of the purpose that I'm here. So, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's awesome because the positivity that you're just pouring out is really so powerful, because you've really grown, you've really developed in so many ways and you've really gone through times that nobody can even begin to imagine. You're in depression, you're having all these miscarriages, and you're still strong and trying, and you're having your children, and even though you are still struggling a little bit here and there in your depression, still you are creating that space for your children. That's so beautiful and so strong and so powerful that it says a lot about hope, and how you've been hanging on to that hope because you knew that in some way I have to come out of this.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you, when you sit today and you look back at all those episodes, you've said that you know that it has helped you. You can look back, and what is the one biggest point you can give people in that journey to help them in their journey? As they hear your testimony, as they hear your journey, they will say, probably hers is even harder than mine, but still, this point she's put out there, I can take it and run with it.
hmm I think that just knowing that you are enough, and that you are enough for everything that you will encounter, and to unpack the judgment that you have of yourself, because you judge yourself harder than anybody could ever judge you. You truly do.
Mm,
You're judging yourself
mm,
too much. We all make mistakes. We all struggle a little bit. But you know what? You need to focus on the here and now. Be in the here and now. Focus on
mm,
something positive. Be grateful for something positive in your life, because being grateful and
mm.
focusing on the here and now can truly support you and help you. It really can.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. That is so beautiful. Being grateful for here and now, a tool that you can take a hold of it and run with it. Run
Mhm.
with it. Don't walk with the donkeys, run with the horses. So take this as your horse and run with it. So I'm grateful that we had you as our guest today. Please tell our viewers how they can contact you. I know there will be definitely people who will want to contact you to probably hear some more from you, or maybe, kind of try to get some support on how they can run the journey that you have run through, and how they can really catch this hope. We are talking about there is hope even when you are in anxiety and depression. There is hope for you to come into your purpose, into your calling you can fulfill, because each and every human being on this earth has a purpose, has a calling, and they have to fulfill it before they go down. Because
Yes.
when you go down and your calling and your purpose is buried with you, then there is no legacy left. There is nothing left. There is nothing people can say about you. So how can people get to contact with you so that they can also get to learn more about you, your coaching, your support, what you're doing, and how they can also come out of that place where they are into their calling and purpose?
For sure. The best way to get a hold of me is on Facebook. And
Mm-hmm.
if you just go to my personal profile page, it's Tamela Apple. You go to that page and you can get into my group page from that page, or you can
Mm-hmm.
just send me a message on Messenger and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
happy to respond to that. I am
Great.
doing a live event in my Facebook group on
Mm-hmm.
next Thursday on June 18th. It's at
Awesome.
5 p.m. Saskatchewan time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get to my Facebook page and you join my group, you can be part of that session as well. So
Awesome. Awesome. What do they need to join your group so that they don't miss out on this live?
they just need to click on my profile cover page and it will take them to the link. Yeah, there are links all
Wonderful.
over on my profile page, so they'll see it.
Awesome. 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 So I'll just read a couple of messages that we have received. Hayat Otieno, she's watching from Germany, Dusseldorf, and she's saying very powerful. And we have Lily again. She says we are our worst critics. And so it is
Yes.
very important to motivate ourselves and to look at ourselves, to know who we are. And that is why I had, the opportunity to write a book called Who Are You? Because you begin to ask yourself, who am I? It's not my title. It's not about, where I come from. It's about my calling, my purpose is who I am. Who
Yes.
are you? Who are you? So thank you so much, Tamela Apple, for joining on with us today and for bringing all these wonderful nuggets and tools for a lot of people who are hurting and that they can recover. There is hope for everybody. And there is hope for us all to come and fulfill our callings and our purpose. So thank you very much for all who have been watching with us
Thank
live and those who will be watching on and replay. And tomorrow we are coming again with a wonderful lady, a powerful woman of God. She's a woman of many hats. Coach Rose will be with us tomorrow, an hour later at 7 p.m. German time. That will be around 12 noon Eastern time. So please join in tomorrow again for great insight and great information for you and tools and strategies that you can use even in these times, in these seasons that we are in. So thank you very much again, Tamela Apple, and I wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to be talking to you again with your new insights and great things that are going, because I know there's new things that are coming up with you.
Yes.
And definitely we want that people to get to know what is all new things that will be coming up. And as they come in, we will be welcoming you back so that they can also continue to learn and grow and develop just as you have. So thank you very much and have
Thank
a good
you.
day and have a good evening wherever you are, a good day wherever you are, good afternoon. It is good evening in Germany. Stay tuned tomorrow again for our new guest, Coach Rose, all the way from the United States. Goodbye for today.